Hey, so I know that to you guys, I am just audio or an adorable avatar, so this won't have the same effect, but I had to give a standing ovation, so bravo, Hamefura! Bravo! Oh my god, I am crying in the club right now. But yes, hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another one of our weekly Hamefura discussion videos, the penultimate Hamefura discussion video for tomorrow. Next week is the finale, which breaks my heart. But today we gotta talk about episode 11, The Moment of My Doom Arrives, part 2. But before we get into the actual episode itself, I do, as always, want to give a big thank you to those of you who shared last week's video over on Twitter. So, a big thank you to Bubba Lubber, Naya3142, Matt87Eagle, Similarity, and Sirius9752. Thank you all so much for sharing last week's video over on Twitter. It is super appreciated, and if you too would like to have your name in the next Hamefura video, the final Hamefura video, then be sure to share this video around on the internet, and then tag me at JoJo Talks Too Much over on Twitter, and I will be sure to shout out the first 5 of you in next week's video. Also, if you haven't done so yet, hitting that subscribe button would be super appreciated, since we are trying to hit 25K before the end of the year. But with all of that said, let's go ahead and jump into this. Oh, I am a mess. I am a mess. I got no words. JoJo Talks Too Much finally shuts up because the episode made him cry too much. What do you know? That's all it took to get me to be quiet, believe it or not. But no, I actually am going to talk a lot in a second. Namely, this is like the penultimate episode. And I gotta tell you, it feels like it. This episode hits with the power of Zeus when it needs to. There's moments in the episode where it still brings that Hamefura like goofiness, like there's still this level of comedy and humor to the episode, but not for a while. Like, it takes a little bit. There's like a handful of jokes sprinkled throughout before it gets back to like a sort of funny tone, but then by the end it still kind of ramps up the intensity. Hamefura is a series I didn't expect to be feeling this much mixed emotions, and not like mixed emotions in like, oh, I don't know how to feel about it. I mean, like, I'm feeling so many different things in the best possible way. And I just didn't expect that from the series. And really, I think last episode and this episode, not that the show was ever like bad at any point. It wasn't. You guys know that. Like, you know that this has been like one of my favorite shows this season. But I would dare say Hamefura is one of the better shows of the year now. Like, not only did the comedy lead up to these beautiful moments where you actually feel like conflicted when you see these characters feeling this way, because you're like, I don't want to see them like that. And I realized how much I care, and I was like really surprised by that. I was really floored. And it just, the previous episode and this episode, and depending how they handle the finale, really pushes Hamefura into, my opinion, being something truly unique and special in the isekai genre. And that's a genre that I've had a rocky relationship with. You guys know I started off this YouTube thing being very much against isekai, but nowadays I'm like Captain Isekai. I love most isekais. I will usually give them a chance even if they sound generic and dumb, which sadly some of them are, but for the most part, isekai is got some great examples of series that really execute that formula. And like I said, I truly think Hamefura can be placed up there with the best. That might be a stretch for some folks, but to me, that is very, very much a fact. But let's go ahead and actually try to dig our way through the episode, shall we? So there's 2 halves, well, sort of 3, but like the third one is sort of like just a teaser for what's gonna happen in the finale. So we'll pretend like there's 2, but there's really 3, whatever. There's 3 parts, we'll say, to this episode, but there's mainly 2. And they are split up between the Fortune Lovers world and our world, which was surprising that we start there. Like, we start in the real world, which I was like, what the hell? We started in the real world. We started from the bottom, now we're here, and we snap back to reality. Oh, that's 2 references in one. I'm so good. Anyway, we opened with our girl back in her own world. And I gotta say, and like, you guys can be mad. Everybody for some reason gets mad at me when I make comparisons to other media, but like, whatever, who cares? I mean, those people who get mad care, but I don't. So it reminded me a hell of a lot of Digimon when Tai goes back to the real world. And it really has that same feeling where it's like, I want to stay here, but I have to go. And it's that sort of emotional tether. But table this discussion. Table it. I know what happened first in the episode, but I want to talk specifically about the fortune lovers world and how they handle things, because it'll tie nicely back into the real world stuff. So let's go ahead and start with fortune lovers. Because while our girl is in her own world, like her spirit is, which I suppose is probably the best way of putting it. Her soul is in this like weird heavenly afterlife where it's her real world, but she still has her memories of being Katarina. It's very, I would assume it's heaven, and she can, like, her soul went, like, that Katarina's soul was separated from you know what I mean? Like, I assume that's what happened. I'm likely to be proven wrong next week, but that's just what I assume happened. So while her soul is gone, Katarina's body is left in the fortune lover's world in a comatose state, and has been like that for a few days. I believe they say 2 or 3. So she's been like that for a while now, and the doctors are completely baffled. They have no clue what could be causing this, which I thought was a little bit weird, because I was like, well, okay, if my boy Gerald knew what the dark magic was, shouldn't this doctor know? Or like maybe he's not allowed to. Maybe it really, like, I'm sure there's like an explanation, but I did think that was a little bit strange. I'm not against it, I just thought it was a little bit weird. But regardless, this whole thing leaves the crew feeling completely devastated. We even see Keith like grabbing the dock and like getting angry. And seeing the crew this devastated hurt. I felt what they felt, because even though I knew it's Hamefura and there's no way they're gonna end this on a dark note, even though I knew that the odds were so astronomical that anything could possibly go wrong and that Katarina's really gonna die here, even though I knew this, I was still emotionally invested, because the characters have been such that I can't help but be upset when I see them upset. You know how, like, when you see somebody, like, whether that's a real person or a character that you like, and you see them upset, and you can't help but feel upset, even if you don't really care about the situation that they're involved in, or you know there is no chance that it's gonna go poorly, like, you know in your heart of hearts that it's not gonna go that way, but for some reason you still get wrapped up in it. That's what happened to me here, where even though I knew there's not a chance in hell this is ending in a bad end type of scenario, I still got emotional, because I couldn't help myself. Like, I just couldn't help but be invested, because these characters mean that much to me. And just when you think it couldn't possibly get any more emotional, we see the characters then start to sort of contemplate how they got to where they are now. And this screwed me up. This really got me, because we see like all of the crew talking about the different ways that Katarina has like impacted their lives, and it really got me. Like, specifically, like, it starts with Anne, and she talks about how like she doesn't want Katarina to go. We don't really get as much time with her as the other characters, and as much as I would have liked. But I still think it works, because you see the scene with the teapot crashing, and like you get the idea that Anne is genuinely emotionally screwed up because Katarina's not waking up, and this seems very serious, and her whole world has been this kid. So again, like we said previously with the whole Alfred and Bruce thing, which they definitely do have that Batman-Alfred dynamic, it hurts her to see this kid who she's watched grow up not be okay, and you can physically see her react that way. And when Geraldo comes in, or Geraldo, however you want to say it, when Geraldo comes in, it screws her up, because she has to suddenly go back into maid mode, and she struggles with it. I almost wanted Gerald to be like, hey man, I'm worried about her too, and like the two of them embrace, but I knew that was gonna happen because nobility and all that stuff. But yeah, Anne leaves. And then we get this wild scene that I didn't expect, and I have to show the picture here because, like, oh my god. So Gerald talks about how much Katarina means, and this sort of kicks off everybody going into what Katarina meant to them and the various ways that she helped them change. And for Gerald, it was that everything in his life felt black and white. It felt incredibly dull, and for the longest time he was like just sort of this character in this story that felt incredibly bland to him, and he didn't see any color in his life. He didn't see anything like that. But then all of a sudden, this crazy girl enters his life and sweeps him off his feet and brings color and light and joy and excitement into his life and forever changes him. Like, he doesn't become the, like, crazy prince. He doesn't become, like, the sociopath that he is in the actual Fortune Lovers game. He is forever changed because of what Katarina did. And he clearly is absolutely smitten for her, as much as all the other characters are. But Gerald truly is in love with Katarina. And when he sees that that Anne can't get her to drink the water, he takes it upon himself, and he takes a sip of the water, and he kisses Katarina and gives her water that way, like a baby bird. And I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I kind of freaked out a little bit. I was like, oh shit, man, Mary ain't gonna like that. But genuinely, like, I was so emotionally invested in this scene of seeing all these characters talk about how Katarina's changed them. Like, we see every single character, and I'm not gonna go through all of them, but it was all of them. Like, they all reacted in such a way, and seeing each, like, not a one of them made me feel anything other than emotionally destroyed. Like, every single character, all of them made me feel hurt to see them hurting so. And the ways that Katarina has impacted them, like, she really is so incredibly important to this. Like, normally, like, with a harem, it's always like, I don't even know why they like her. This is a bi-harem, and by God, you get why they care so much. Like I care. I care about Katarina. You may as well throw me into the harem too. Like, I care. So of course they care. And seeing how much she's changed them, it screwed me up. But the one that screwed me up the most is Sophia. When Sophia breaks down, we hear a voice. And it's super obvious who the voice is. But we hear a voice say, I can't lose her again too. And Sophia's like, what the hell was that? Like, what was that? And then Sophia goes to the window to look out the window, and who is that girl she sees staring back straight at her but Achan? It's Achan in her reflection. Whoa. Now listen, we knew that Achan was within the body of Sophia. We knew this. But, holy shit, how is she able to keep herself intact? Like, this isn't like a Nail and Piccolo thing from Dragon Ball. Like, she doesn't just recede into the background here. She has managed to keep her soul intact, to keep her being intact within Sophia while still allowing Sophia to exist in that world, in the Fortune Lovers world. She has not replaced Sophia. Sophia exists, but also Achan exists, which must also mean that Katarina is just pushed to the back of Katarina's body. So what happened to Katarina? I don't even, oh my god. So many questions, but I didn't give a shit. Like, this is one of those like, why can't the stormtrooper shoot straight in Star Wars type of thing, where I don't care. Like, I don't care that, yes, it's a weird thing in the story that should be explained, but probably won't be, and if it isn't, I'm a level with you, 100%. I'm gonna keep it completely real with you. If this is never explained, I don't give a shit. With me, it's nice when a story is able to speak to me on a logical level and have everything make sense. But in cases like this, if it makes me feel emotionally fulfilled enough and it speaks to me on that emotional level, I don't give a shit. I will, and I like it being mysterious anyway. You guys have heard me say that a lot with the Tower of God videos. Sometimes I just prefer elements of a world to be mysterious, such as the Force. Again, Star Wars reference, many references, but in this case, I'm cool with it being mysterious. And that leads us nicely into snapping back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Okay, sorry. That leads us back to the real world, quote unquote, which again, I do think is a sort of like heaven interpretation of the original Katarina's world. And we actually get to see her face. Like, we actually get to see her face and what her life was like before she became Katarina, like the Katarina that we know, like back in the real world. Because for the longest time, her face was always sort of cast in shadow. and we didn't really get to see a whole lot of her. But we actually get to see her like full force here, and we see her interacting with her family, and that messed me up in a way that I wasn't expecting. Like, she really did. It wasn't just Achan. Like, she left people behind. She left behind her mom and her dad and her brother, her college brother, and some other guy who the show didn't really focus on. And it's, I don't know, like, I always knew that she had a life before Fortune Lovers, but it still messed me up, and again gave me that Digimon vibe where it's like, listen, I know I have ties here, but I have ties here? I know I have ties here, but I have to go back. And that's essentially what happens. This scene where Achan goes to find Katarina, it messed me up, man. Like, I really wasn't expecting it to be this emotional, where it's essentially Achan letting Katarina go. And it's beautiful. Like, it's genuinely like a very beautiful moment. I will say, like, just as to break this sentimentality up with a joke, it did kind of remind me of that scene in Doki Doki Literature Club where the classroom falls apart and they end up in space. It did remind me of that. But in all honesty, guys, like, this moment, I can't put into words how impactful I found it. Achan letting Katarina go and saying, like, I was really happy to see you one more time. And Katarina, like, realizing this is probably the last time she'll ever see Achan. And she says, like, I have to thank you for everything, and blah, blah, blah. And Achan is able to tell her where Maria is, what's up with Sirius, all this stuff. So Achan gives her the information she needs to save the day, and then that's it. And then they go, and it's a beautiful scene, and genuinely got me, like, to cry. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. I had tears. This wasn't just misty-eyed moment, like, because I get a lot of misty-eyed moments. You guys know me. I'm very much a crybaby, and I get misty-eyed a lot, and I get, like, the tears welling up, but they never, like, roll down the cheek. No, this was full out, like, tears rolling down my cheeks. I got messed up by this scene. But yeah, then Katarina wakes up, and it's time. Like, we waste no time. We go find Maria. I do love that she's like, she immediately explains everything, and everyone's like, how do you know that? And Katarina just goes, it came to me in a dream. And everyone's like, oh, yep, she's back. Okay. They just accept, like, yep, that's Katarina. She's an odd duck, but we love her. And I had the same reaction of, like, yep, okay, she's back. Okay, good. But, yeah, we really don't waste much time from here on out. Like, Katarina's like, okay, we gotta go find Maria. She's at the school grounds. She's in the Deke family, the storage, whatever the hell, on the school grounds. We go there. She's gonna be in the basement. We'll find her. And everyone's like, okay. So they get their swords in a cool-ass moment. Again, I like when they show that these characters are kind of badass. And they take their swords and they go find Sirius. And there's your boy in this weird-ass room, in this creepy-looking purple room. Now, you guys know me. I like the color purple. It's one of my favorite colors. But that room is weird. That room is very strange. And this, okay, I have many theories about what this could be, but there is a voice in Sirius's head. And we just heard a voice in Sophia's head. That turned out to be Achan. There's a voice in Sirius's head, and my boy Sun Wukong, has been saying for a while that he thinks that everybody might be reincarnated. And so maybe there was somebody in Katarina's previous life who, like, had a grudge against Sirius or something. My theory is this must be, like, maybe this is, like, some sort of, like, maybe, like, dark magic comes from, like, another other world where it's all darkness, you know, like it's like a monster, some sort of, like, I'm thinking like the Anti-Monitor type thing, like where there's like a being, like some sort of like evil being that lays in the dark, and that's like there's some sort of like demonic possession going on with Sirius. That's where I stand, where I think it's some sort of demonic possession that the group has to, like, expel out of him, you know? Which could lead nicely into another season if they want to try to fight that thing. Because listen, I need them to save Sirius, because I don't like, Sirius has been shady the whole time, but I need them to save Sirius, because I feel like if they save Sirius, and it is a demon, and they expel that demon, then maybe they can fight it in a season 2. Because really, Okay, I'm just gonna keep it real with you. I hope they save Sirius, but if they don't, I'm not against it either, because as long as you give me a season 2, that's what I want. I want a season 2. I don't know how long the light novels go on for. I don't know if we're gonna get a season 2 or not, but man, listen to how long I've been talking. Listen to how long I've been talking. There are not many other shows this season that have gotten me to talk this much. I pray we get a season 2. But with that said, everybody, I'm gonna wrap up my thoughts here. I am very, very, very nervous, but also mostly excited for next week's finale. I'm gonna miss this show. But with that said, everybody, if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to boop that up snoot and share if you care. And as always, I want to give a big thank you to the lovely members of the T Squadron. Look at all them beautiful names, those beautiful people. If you too would like to join the T Squadron, then be sure to check out that first link in the description to check out our Patreon page, and you can become a lovely member of the T Squadron for as little as a cup of coffee a month. You can help keep this channel afloat, and I would genuinely appreciate it. But with that said, everybody, I'm going to go maybe cry again, because I'm still very much full of emotion. But until next time, you stay classy, AniTube, and wash your dang hands.